A big question. Are you prepared for tomorrow? This is a frequent question these days. That's frequent. Prepared for what? Well, if you live in the Northwest or in Northern California, are you prepared to be burned out of your house in fires? Come December, January, we could have 3 or 4 feet of snow on the ground. Power outages? Quite possible. Some of us here do have generators. There are a few common sense things we should have in our homes, our cars. Now, if you live in an area where you get snow or frequent outages, it's a good idea to have some power backup, especially if you rely upon a well for water. At our home, we have a well, and we also have a sand mound system, which requires a sewage pump to pump the water to the top of a sand mound. And also, we have oil-fired heat. All of these things require wattage, power. Watts is the same thing as power. First aid kits in our cars. Get into an accident, or you see someone that's in an accident, you can help. And also, if you can't get out, or for folks in California, if they have to get out and flee, they have to go someplace else, how about food? What do you do for food? Food that doesn't go bad, it's a good idea. It's preparedness. It's being prepared. Things like water, toiletries, blankets. Timothy chapter 5, 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 8 states, if any provide not for his own, and especially for those of his own house, he hath denied the faith and is worse than an infidel. Now, that doesn't mean if you don't have some dried food and you run out of food that you're on the skids. But what this is, and what I am referring to, is preparedness. There's physical preparedness, and a wise man will do that. If you live in the 15th floor of a condominium and power goes out, you got a problem, especially if you have a heart problem. You don't have an elevator, and you got 15 flights of stairs to get up and down. So it's a good idea to have a few things you can fall back on. There are some examples of people being prepared for the building of the tabernacle in Exodus. We can read that. Our Creator put in the hearts of specific people, certain people, to do what? Metalworking? Masonry? Woodworking? Because they didn't have it. Or they may have had something that He didn't care for. I want it done a certain way. And our Creator put in every wise-hearted man in whom Yah put wisdom and understanding to know how to work the manner of work for the service of the sanctuary according to all that Yah had commanded. It was specific. So each of us knows what we need in the case to be prepared. Messiah tells his disciples in Matthew 10, verse 18, and you shall be brought before governors and kings for my sake, for a testimony against them and the Gentiles. Verse 19. But when they deliver you up, take no thought. Try not to be prepared for that. So what am I doing? Am I causing confusion here? No, preparedness on the physical level, we can understand that. Being prepared for a nuclear blast, I don't know if you're going to be able to do that. Not too long ago, several years ago, we had the threat of, quote, dirty bombs. A dirty bomb is not a nuclear blast. A dirty bomb is merely a conventional warhead with radioactive materials strapped to it or in it, so that when it blows off, when it explodes, it doesn't cause a nuclear explosion, thermonuclear explosion. It just blows radioactive dust all over the place. And you may not even know it. But that was a threat. There was all kinds of threats. But he said, take no thought on what ye shall speak, for it shall be given you in that time, that same hour, what ye shall speak. For it is not you that speak, but the Spirit of your Father which speaketh in you. In essence, don't be afraid. What am I going to do now? I'm before this guy. Look at this. Don't worry about that. What did Mark say in several of his talks? In fact, I can think of at least 6 times. He said, I and my Father will come and make our abode in you. Now, if he's in us, is there going to be a problem for him to do any speaking? What did Messiah say? I speak not my words, but my Father who is in me. He will prepare you. Because if we try to prepare and give answers from our own wisdom, we're going to mess it up. So don't be afraid. Fear is one of the worst things the adversary can beat you up with, and he knows how to do it. Just take a look at this COVID things. We got half the nations one way, the other half's the other way, scared to death. Some brethren didn't come to the feast because they were literally afraid of contracting COVID. John 14, verse 26. But the Comforter, which is the Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, he shall teach you all things and bring all things to your remembrance. How many brethren here have read the Bible page to page? Quite a few. Quite a few. Do you remember everything you read? Nope. And when that time comes and you're asked, are you going to be able to recall? No. The Spirit of our Creator, He'll give you the answer. And that way, you'll give the right answer. But in order for Him to be able to have you recall it, you have to have read it or studied it. Whatsoever I have said to you, He will bring it to foreground. Can we remember something we have not experienced? We need to immerse ourselves in the Word. We need to pray and fellowship with other believers. All 3 of them are very important. They all hold equal weight. Prayer and studying and fellowship. If one of them is left out, you only have 2/3 of the equation. In this world, we need to be fully armed. We need to be able to draw on everything. King David. Now here's another way the adversary is going to unprepare you. And he knows how to do this. And we got to remember this. I will set no wicked thing before my eyes. I hate the work of those who fall away. Those who fall away. In essence, brethren, there was a time when they were not fallen away. But those who fall away, they cause a lot of trouble. Apparently, this is what David's saying. He hates the work of these. And David said, I will set no wicked thing before my eyes. The eyes are very important. We have a memory that our Creator has blessed us with. And eradicating the wrong memories is tough, because there's going to be something come up. And the adversary will certainly be there, and it's going to come to the foreground. Whether it be something in the past, something we said, something about our own character. How amazing is the eye, fearfully and wonderfully made. The eye is the only part of our bodies that are at 100% capacity all the time. You open your eyes up in the middle of the night, they will adjust and they will work just fine. All the time, with no need to rest. Matthew 14, verses 25 through 33. In the fourth watch of the night, 3 a.m. to 6 a.m., Joshua went into them, walking on the sea. Now here's another point that is extremely important, brethren. It really can't be stressed enough. Angelo talked about it, touched on it, and it is important. I had no idea what Angelo was going to talk about. Neither did he have any idea what I'm going to talk about. We do not compare notes. The common thread is the Spirit of our Creator. The same one that's in him is in me. It's in Terry. It's in Steve. It's in Mark. It's in Libby. It's in Rita. All of us. I didn't leave anyone out on purpose. Joshua went into them walking on the sea, and when his disciples saw him walking on the sea, now they've been with him already for quite a while, they were troubled, saying, "It is a spirit, it's a ghost." It scared the daylights out of them. They were petrified. And they cried out. They were upset. Cried out for fear. Here's the word, fear. But straightway Joshua spake unto them, saying, "Be of good cheer. It is I. Be not afraid. It's me. What are you so scared of? I mean, this isn't the first time you see me do some miracles, fellas. What are you so afraid of? Be of good cheer. It is I. Be not afraid." Peter answered him and said, "Master, now if it is really you, if you are who you say you are," because he says right here, "if it be thou." Wow. I'm going to check and see if this is the master. "Bid me come into the water," Joshua said. "Come." Now the man had some doubts starting out with. Okay, so what's he do? He steps down off the ship onto the water. Hey, this is pretty neat. This is like walking on a concrete sidewalk, fellas. And he looked around. Now, also understand, and I didn't cover these verses earlier before, but the sea was sloshing around and the waves were big. The wind was blowing. But our master's standing there. So Peter looked at the Messiah and said, "Well, if it's you, call me in." So he's looking at him. Our Redeemer says, "Come." So he did. He gets down off. He's looking at Messiah. And then he looks at the angry waves. What did he lose? Focus. He lost the focus on who? Our Redeemer. We can lose focus on CNN, ABC, CBS, driving home. There's many things the adversary. I go to the gym, Planet Fitness, and talk about focus losing. Of course, in my younger years, my attention to focus would be shorter. Now it's much longer. But we have gals that are poured into these outfits, and the tops are tight, there's cleavage all over the place, and you're supposed to be concentrating on exercising. Now the adversary knows exactly how we tick. There is nothing he doesn't know about it. All you got to do is observe. And that'll help you to lose focus. And my wife is there with me. So I wear dark sunglasses. And these gals walking past, and then there's 27 monitors on at the same time, each one to a different station. Talk about confusion. So I put my glasses on. They have a certain way of blocking the light frequency coming from these monitors. So I put them on, and even though they're all lit up, I'm running without the sunglasses. I put the sunglasses on, all the monitors are black except for one down the far end. So that's just one way of getting focus messed up. Looking around and worrying, how am I going to get out of this? How about this crazy world? It's nuts. He knows it. It's piled up high around us, like walking down the streets of say, New York City or Wall Street, where the buildings are 600-700 feet high. And you're walking along the sidewalk, it's enormous. Maybe even wonder, is this going to fall in on me? That's the way the adversary is. They call it intimidation. Intimidation. Intimidation starts out with that. Fear follows. Don't lose your focus. He blows a lot of smoke. Don't lose your focus. The Messiah says, come, and you step out, don't take your eyes off of him. Don't take your eyes off of him. Don't give the adversary any advantage, any space and time, none of it. Now, another thing that we tend to do, let's turn to John 21. The book of John, chapter 21. I'm going to pick it up in verse 20. A lot of the churches of God have this problem. And it's just not the churches of God. And I say the churches of God because they're the ones I'm the most familiar with, the ones you would least expect to find this problem. Starting in verse 20. Peter, turning about, most of us have read this, but I'm starting in verse 20. Peter, turning about, sees the disciple whom the Messiah loved following him, comma, or semicolon, which also leaned on his breast at supper and said, Master, which is it he that betrayeth you? So what the book of John here is doing is identifying this John. And Peter goes on, seeing him, said to the master, Yeshua, and what shall this man do? Okay. He's minding John's business. Messiah said unto him, without mincing any words, okay, pulled out all stops. If I will that he tarry till I come, what is that to you? Follow thou me. Keep your focus on me and mind your own business. If you're minding someone else's business, you can't be minding your own. Then went this saying abroad among the brethren, and the saying was incorrect. This is also a lesson in gossip, that disciples should not die. Okay? Yet Messiah said, not unto him he shall not die, but if I will that he tarry, will come, and what is it to thee? That was the truth. But the gossip got all twisted. We got to stay away from these things. These are in here for us. For us. They can take our focus off of him. Now, Ephesians 5, 15 and 16. I'm not going to turn there. You can turn it. You can write it down and take a look. See that you walk circumspectly. Anybody know what that means? Circumspectly? It means to be aware of your surroundings, aware of the circumstances that you're in. Not as fools. Okay. Some people will just barrel along and walk right into something, not even know where they're at. We are not supposed to be that way. If our focus is on our Redeemer, this will not happen. Not as fools, but as wise men, redeeming the time. This time is short. Our life here is short. Redeeming the time because the days are evil. The days are evil. Know your circumstances, know where you're at, and don't set yourself up to find yourself saying to yourself, how did I get here? You can avoid that. You can avoid that, and we should avoid that. Okay, Matthew chapter 6. I'm using my wife's Bible, so I'm not quite up to par with going from one chapter to the next. Matthew chapter 6, verses 30 through 34. Here's something else to consider in our worries which may beset us. He was talking about Solomon and our Creator. Our Creator knows who we are. He loves us. And he gets angry with those who try to slap us around and grind our face in the dirt. And our Redeemer picks it up in verse 30 here. Wherefore, if Elohim so clothe the grass of the field, which today is and tomorrow is cast into the oven, shall he not much more clothe you, O ye of little faith? That's another problem, is a lacking in faith. Therefore, take no thought, saying, what shall we eat? Or what shall we drink? Or wherewithal shall we be clothed? For after all these things do the Gentiles seek. The world seeks after these things in abundance. Was it Jeff Bezos who owns Amazon? He knows exactly what the Gentiles seek. The man is a multi-billionaire with online everything. For your heavenly Father knows what ye have need of, all these things. But seek lastly the kingdom of our Creator? No. Seek first the kingdom of Elohim and his righteousness. His righteousness. And all those things shall be added to you. You know, you may not get it in truckloads, but you're going to have enough to keep you satisfied. If it were in truckloads, that would be another pitfall for us. We tend to have a problem with handling power and great wealth. The human nature. When I say we, I mean the human heart. Take therefore no thought for tomorrow shall take thought for itself. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. Each day has its own quotient of evil. It's good to plan, like I said. You know, we got a plan for some of the physical things, like in the world we live in today. When the cupboards get low, we have to make up a shopping list and we go out and buy food. I mean, we have to do those things. And for those who live in an area where snow is abundant, it's wise to have a generator. Okay, it's not something we should worry about, and the mainstream media keeps pounding us with all kinds of hysteria. I mean, that seems to be everywhere. We were talking to a lady at the restaurant last night. Oh, I was. Well, she was trying to buy some coffee, and there was some flurry of activity going on. She looks at me and apologizes for taking so long. And she says about her daughter, who lives out in Seattle, Washington. And she said Seattle, Washington has been destroyed. I mean, it's just, Antifa has completely destroyed it. It's not the Seattle, Washington that she used to know. So we can look at that and say, boy, this is what's coming to our town. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Our Creator understands. He knows. All of Seattle, Washington, and every square inch of the face of this globe is His, not ours. And those who make a mess of it, well, He's liable to make a mess of them. Ephesians. Many may already know where I'm going with this, but this is extremely important. Much like remaining focused on our Creator. Now, again, brethren, sometimes I feel like it's a broken record, but we learn by repeating. We learn by edification and reminding one another. Okay? This is not new and groundbreaking understanding. We don't need that. We need to get off the ground. We need to be prepared. Are we prepared? Ephesians chapter 6, starting in verse 11. Put on the whole armor of Elohim, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. What are his wiles? Confusion. He is the author of confusion. I am confused. I don't know which way to go. That's exactly what he wants. He has, if you're saying that and you don't know what to do, he's been successful. Okay? You need to pray. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood. All the animation of all this evil going on, we can look at the people and say, I really don't like this guy. I mean, this guy is a creep. Well, who's behind it? We have what one author called, and even Mr. Dart mentioned it one time, we are wall to wall with useful idiots, he called them. And that merely means puppets that do all of his light work for him, the adversary. He deceives them, and then they're easy to manipulate. We're loaded with them. We are called out of this, and we're told not to be that way. Don't fear these people. Don't be afraid of them. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. And it is in high places, very high places. Wherefore take unto you the whole armor of Elohim, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand or overcome the evil day, and done all to do so, stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth. We got to know what it is. I am the way, the truth, and life. What does that mean? How does that work into our life? Having your loins girt about with the truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness. The breastplate of righteousness, it tends to be something that's not permeable back then. It protected the chest, the heart area from flying objects. Your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Well, that seems to me as though wherever we go, this should be in our hearts and our minds. We should talk about it. Preparation for your shoes shod with the preparation. So your shoes are on your feet, and what do you do with your feet? Your feet aren't propped up on the sofa watching television and eating bonbons. No, this is talking about wherever you go. Above all, take the shield of faith, wherewith ye will be able to quench or put out all the fiery darts of the wicked. The shield of faith. Without the faith, brethren, none of the other parts are going to work. And take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of Elohim. And what does the sword indicate? That's an offensive. The shield is defensive. The sword is offensive. And the offensive, the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of Elohim. And what does the word of Elohim do? It will shut down the evil. It pierces, and it gets right in there. Just like our Redeemer did to the scribes and Pharisees, they got to the point they were afraid to ask him any more questions. Why? Because he was carrying a howitzer with him. That was the truth of his Father. And he told them the truth. Unabashed. He just told them the truth. You guys, it's going to go better for Sodom and Gomorrah than it will be for you guys. They knew who he was talking about. I'm not saying we need to go out there and start doing that. But the word of our Creator, we got to know what it is. We got to believe it. We got to have faith in it. We got to be able to use it. Any military person, whether it back then, 2,000 years ago, or now, you get drafted into the military or you join, they just don't put a gun in your hands and say, all right, now go fight. No, they are trained. The Scriptures, our Creator, the words here, it trains us. And the answers that we give are done without being, or given without being haughty about it, if you will, or arrogant. Arrogance never works. Praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, and watching thereunto with all perseverance and supplication for all the saints. Here we are, back to the community again. Not just for ourselves, but for every person, all the saints. When I say every person, the saints, and the saints especially. Well, brethren, this being the last day of the Feast of Tabernacles, some call it the last great day, at the FOTLGD, okay, it's already at the end. And we're going to be leaving here, and we're going to be hitting the road where the rubber meets the road. And some of us, we won't see each other until next year. And next year, it's going to be 13 months, because next year, the Feast of Tabernacles is a month later. It's a long time. It's a long time. And Rita had a very good idea yesterday in her presentation. We have the technology to stay connected. We have phones. We have texting. Some of us may not be up to speed on Skype, but Skype only adds the video portion. Okay, we can always call and ask and check and find out. Most important is to wear out your knees. Make sure your knees have a lot of calluses on them because of praying. That's what they called one of the apostles, old camel knees. He was always on his knees praying. We need to do that. We need to do that. Because, brethren, that's who we are. That's what we're supposed to be. Thank you.